Imagine waking up on Christmas morning, not to the sound of children's laughter and the rustle of wrapping paper, but to the crackle of flames and the gut-wrenching realization that 5 of your children have vanished into thin air. This isn't the plot of a horror movie. This is the real-life nightmare that befell the Sodder family on December 25th, 1945. 5 children disappeared without a trace, leaving behind a trail of bizarre clues, conflicting evidence, and a mystery that has baffled investigators for over 75 years. Prepare to dive into one of America's most chilling unsolved cases, the haunting disappearance of the Sodder children. To understand the depth of this mystery, we must first meet the Sodders. George and Jenny Sodder were Italian immigrants who had achieved the American dream. George, a self-made man, owned a successful coal trucking business in Fayetteville, West Virginia. The couple had 10 children and were known for their strong family values and work ethic. George was outspoken about his political views, particularly his criticism of Mussolini and the Italian government. This detail would later fuel theories about the family's tragic fate. As Christmas Eve, 1945 approached, the Sodder household was filled with excitement. The family had decorated their home with festive cheer, and the children were eagerly anticipating Santa's arrival. That evening, the 5 youngest Sodder children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, begged their parents to let them stay up late to play with their new toys. George and Jenny agreed, instructing the children to turn off the lights and lock the doors before going to bed. The older Sodder children had plans of their own. John was away in the Army, while Joe and George Jr. had other engagements. Marion was working at a dime store, scheduled to close late due to last-minute Christmas shoppers. As the clock struck midnight, the house fell quiet. The younger children had presumably gone to bed, and George and Jenny retired for the night, unaware that their lives were about to change forever. At approximately 1 a.m. on Christmas morning, Jenny Sodder awoke to the smell of smoke. She rushed to investigate and found the house engulfed in flames. George, Jenny, and their daughter Marion managed to escape the inferno, along with their sons George Jr. and Joe, who had returned home. But the 5 youngest children were nowhere to be seen. In a panic, George attempted to rescue his children. He ran to get his ladder, which was always leaning against the house, but it was gone. He then tried to start his coal trucks to drive them to the water tank and douse the flames, but they wouldn't start, despite being in perfect working order the day before. The family's attempts to throw water on the fire seemed futile, as if the water was evaporating before it could reach the flames. In desperation, they tried to call the fire department, but the telephone lines had been cut. By the time the fire department arrived, nearly an hour after the first alarm, the Sodder home had been reduced to ashes. The 5 youngest children were presumed to have perished in the blaze. The official investigation into the fire concluded swiftly. Fire Chief F.J. Morris declared that the blaze was caused by faulty wiring, and the children had died in the flames. The death certificates for Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty were issued on December 30th, 1945. However, several factors cast doubt on this conclusion. No human remains were found in the ashes, despite the fire lasting only 45 minutes. The fire chief later admitted that the temperature wouldn't have been high enough to completely cremate the bodies. A crematorium worker stated that bones remain even after bodies are burned at much higher temperatures for longer periods. As the Sodders began to investigate on their own, they uncovered a series of strange occurrences and unexplained events surrounding the fire. A man was seen stealing a block and tackle from the property during the fire. The family's ladder, which was always leaning against the house, had mysteriously vanished. The telephone lines had been cut, not burned as initially thought. George's coal trucks, which he attempted to use to reach the attic, were found to have been tampered with. A strange, puffing sound was heard on the roof shortly before the fire broke out. Witnesses reported seeing fireballs being thrown onto the roof of the house. These peculiar circumstances led the Sodders to believe that the fire was no accident and that their children might still be alive. Refusing to accept the official explanation, George and Jenny Sodder embarked on a lifelong quest to uncover the truth. They spent thousands of dollars on private investigators and followed every lead, no matter how small. Their efforts uncovered even more mysterious clues. A woman at a Charleston hotel claimed to have seen 4 of the 5 missing children a week after the fire. A waitress in a roadside diner reported serving breakfast to children matching the Sodders' description, accompanied by 2 men and 2 women of Italian extraction. A letter arrived years later, allegedly from Louis Sodder, but its authenticity could never be verified. The Sodders' determination to find answers captured the public's imagination and kept the case alive for decades. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged about what might have happened to the Sodder children. Kidnapping. Some believe the children were abducted, and the fire was set to cover up the crime. Mafia involvement. Given George Sodder's outspoken criticism of Mussolini, some speculate about a possible Mafia connection. Human trafficking. The reports of sightings led to theories that the children might have been sold into human trafficking. Government conspiracy. A few suggest a potential government cover-up, though evidence for this is scarce. Witness protection. Some speculate that the children were placed in witness protection, though this theory lacks substantial evidence. Each theory has its proponents and detractors, but none have provided a definitive answer to the mystery. In 1952, the Sodders erected a billboard near their property with photos of the missing children and offering a $10,000 reward for information. The billboard remained for decades, a stark reminder of the family's unresolved tragedy. In 1968, Jenny Sodder received a photograph in the mail of a man who resembled her son Louis as an adult. The photo was accompanied by a cryptic note with a Kentucky postmark, reigniting hope that the children might still be alive. Over the years, several people came forward claiming to be one of the missing Sodder children, but DNA tests proved these claims false. The disappearance of the Sodder children has become a legendary cold case, inspiring books, podcasts, and countless discussions among amateur sleuths. It serves as a haunting reminder of the devastating impact of unsolved mysteries on families and communities. The case has also raised important questions about fire investigation techniques, the reliability of eyewitness accounts, and the role of media in keeping cold cases alive. As we conclude our journey through this chilling mystery, we're left with more questions than answers. What really happened to Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty Sodder on that fateful Christmas morning in 1945? Were they victims of a tragic accident? Or is there a darker truth waiting to be uncovered? The search for answers continues, and perhaps one day, the truth will finally come to light. Until then, the mystery of the Sodder children will continue to captivate and haunt us, a testament to the enduring power of the unknown.